In the wake of Britain voting last week to leave the EU, it looks as if there's going to be another victim of Brexit fever. This time the UK's frontline fighter bomber, the Eurofighter Typhoon, or as some have dubbed it, Eurofighter. In Britain, a movement is steadily growing to replace this European fighter with a more British replacement, namely the English Electric Lightning, a 1950s era fighter retired decades ago. The English Electric Lightning was one of the last purely British aircraft the RAF ever operated. Designed to intercept Soviet bombers, this aircraft was never used in combat. Sources from this campaign claim the Eurofighter is a representation of big business, namely Eurofighter Jagdflugzeug GmbH. The campaign has claimed this 1950s fighter will be independent, like our independent nuclear deterrence, which is not remotely dependent on the United States. But the Lightning could only possibly be dependent on that one guy in South Africa who has more operational Lightnings than Britain does. One. Presuming that man has the design documents for the aircraft, he is about to make a lot of money. This independent British fighter, bought back off some guy down in South Africa, will be an all-British replacement and require no permission from Brussels to operate. The Eurofighter Typhoon can carry up to 13 air-to-air missiles, anti-tank missiles, bombs and cruise weapons. The Lightning, meanwhile, carries 2 all-British missiles, forced out of service by the European Union in 1988, claim our sources. These campaigners continue to point out that the EU fighter is capable of only Mach 1.5 at super cruise, something only one other aircraft, the F-22, the world's most advanced fighter, is capable of. The Lightning, meanwhile, can travel at Mach 2 for a very short amount of time before it runs out of fuel in its tiny body. A survey conducted by this channel of people born the year the Lightning first flew showed that 80% were in favour. Of these respondents, 90% said they didn't have any clue about aircraft flight characteristics, air defence operations, or the difference between Blu-ray and DVD. But they said the Lightning had a much better name. To quote one member of the focus group, "I want my RAF back." The Spitfire wasn't partly built by the Germans, the Spanish and the Italians. It killed them. This channel is unclear why they thought the Spanish were involved in World War II. A senior UKIP member said that this would really stick one to the French, who, this channel must remind you, are not involved in Eurofighter in any way at all, except for producing a multi-role aircraft which so far has the Eurofighter beating export sales. Once again, adopting the Lightning does give the possibility we'll see the Lightning and the Lightning II flying together. In which case, of the RAF's 2 frontline aircraft, assuming the Panavia Tornado will be done away with, as it is also a product of a European consortium that isn't involved with the EU in any way, one will be outdated, designed for a type of war you will no longer fight, barely fit to purpose and cost far too much to keep running, and the other will have first flown in black and white times. According to figures available to this channel, the Eurofighter, or EU Fighter, if we're going with that, costs over £13,000 an hour to fly. The figures we've seen from this campaign indicate it to be around double that, and all money that we really can't promise will go to the NHS, but sure it will. Of course. If all of that seems like a really good idea to you, you definitely voted Brexit. And, possibly independent of that, you're an idiot. And if it all sounds terrifying, don't worry, this is only satire. But, let's be honest, it seems like something that could happen.